Okay. Elise Junim would never have attacked Maya Fey.
How can you be so sure?
Because the victim's real name was not Elise Junim. Her real name was Misty Fey.
Fey?
No. Not Misty Fey.
Who is this Misty Fey? Is she related to?
Misty Fey is the master of the Kurain channeling technique. She is also the mother of Maya Fey.
Are you serious?
Is it really true, Mr. Wright? Was Elise Junim actually the great mystic Misty?
There's no doubt about it. It looks like Iris had no idea.
I can hardly believe it.
The idea that she would try to kill her only daughter, one she hadn't seen in 17 years. Perhaps the prosecution can offer some explanation for why she would do such a thing.
Good. Order in the court. Upon first hearing the witness's testimony, it seemed natural enough. However, in light of some facts that have just been presented, one, that the victim supposedly threw away his sword during a fight, and two, that the two people battling to the death were mother and daughter, despite the facts being believable when taken on their own. When taken together, the entire story seems difficult to believe.
Listen, there's nothing in this world that is impossible. Well, that is a very debatable statement. I mean, there's literally millions of things that are impossible. Except for one little thing.
Yes, what is this one little impossible thing?
Huh, you still don't get it. You think maybe my beans are under-roasted, but you have no idea, Gramps. Could you get to your point? The only thing impossible is apparently to understand what you're trying to say. I heard this witness's confession this morning, just as I had taken the first sip of my 8th cup of morning coffee. Holy shit. Kannst doch nicht schon früh am Morgen 8 Tassen Kaffee trinken. Ja, ganz genau.
You're going to ruin your health, my friend.
Anyway, after hearing this woman's confession, I had a detective who loves to investigate sent to the scene of the crime. And he discovered this little beauty.
Is that the dagger the witness testified to seeing?
Obviously, Your Honor. But do you not notice something else?
Now that you mention it, if you look closely, there appears to be blood on it.
Where did you find that? I didn't see that when I investigated the crime scene. Did you investigate the pine tree at the crime scene? Huh? The pine tree? This dagger was stuck in the backside of the pine tree. When the last blow was struck, ending the violent battle between the two women, this little baby was thrown in the direction of the back of the pine tree.
Which means the blood on the dagger belongs to the victim, correct?
Huh. Were you even listening, old man? I first heard this confession this morning, just as I had taken the first sip of my 13th cup of morning coffee. Didn't you say it was your 8th just a few minutes ago? I didn't have enough time to get the blood analyzed on such short notice.
In any case, the court will accept the dagger as evidence. Furthermore, I order that a blood test be performed on it immediately.
This is my sweetheart. Make sure you treat her right.
Bailiff, get this piece of evidence to the crime lab for testing immediately.
Dagger. Found behind a tree in the inner temple garden. The blood is being analyzed now.
Now then, the testimony we just heard had numerous unbelievable aspects to it. However, after having found the very dagger the witness spoke of, I believe we can consider her testimony to be credible.
Cute girls never lie. Ever. Na, ich glaube, das kann man nach Dahlias ganzem Kram ja wohl absolut überhaupt nicht sagen.
In any case, witness, if you could please testify again to this court.
About what, Your Honor?
About the incident you saw, the battle between the two women.
Yes, Your Honor.
Na, lass mal hören.
Mystic Maya stumbled briefly after being hit over the head with a staff.
Okay.
But then she dodged Mystic Elise's next attack and stole her weapon. Suddenly, Mystic Elise was the one on the defensive, with her back to the stone lantern. That's when Mystic Maya stabbed Mystic Elise.
Moment. Hier. Autopsy Report. Habe ich schon direkt was dagegen. Cause loss of blood from stab in the back. Aber was sie gerade beschrieben hat, würde bedeuten, dass sie von vorne zugestochen hat. Das kann schon mal nicht sein.
Mystic Elise managed to fling the knife away, but then she collapsed.
Ja, Bullshit.
That was a very heartbreaking story.
I don't know if there were any bad feelings between them, but it had been 17 years since Mystic Misty's disappearance. Perhaps they simply didn't recognize each other anymore.
That seems reasonable. Now then, Mr. Wright, proceed with your cross-examination.
Ja, muss ich gar nicht viel machen. Stumbled briefly. She dodged. Stole weapon. Suddenly back to the stone lantern. Ich speichere auch trotzdem nochmal. So ganz bisschen unsicher bin ich mir doch. Zumindest, wo ich das präsentieren soll. Ich würde mal sagen, hier. Something about you just isn't right today, Iris. Huh? Until now, I didn't think you were the type to make such a careless mistake. However, the testimony you just gave contains quite a few contradictions.
What do you mean? What's so wrong about my testimony?
According to you, Maya Faye stabbed the victim while she had her back to the stone lantern, correct?
Yes, that's right.
But in that case, the victim would have been stabbed in the stomach, right?
Yes, I think so.
But according to the autopsy report, jetzt kommt hier auf einmal Edgeworth mit dem Jetpack reingeflogen und singt uns was von Updated Autopsy Report vor, während er wieder rausfliegt. Und lässt Kopien davon in den Gerichtssaal reinregnen. Was ein Bild. According to the autopsy report, the cause of death was due to blood loss from a stab wound in her back. This proves that the victim was stabbed from behind, not from the front. Ich muss gerade voll lachen, weil ich mir da wieder ein Video zu Updated Autopsy Report einfällt. This proves that the victim was stabbed from behind, not from the front. Sister Iris, it appears another seed of doubt has sprouted from your testimony.
What is the meaning of this, Mr. Wright?
Huh, it's simple. People are like books. We've all got a front and a back. You get my drift.
Is that all you have to say?
I can also say that darkness loves to play with the human mind. Could you please knock it off with the cheesy proverbs and illogical metaphors already? The point is, too much of this testimony just doesn't make sense. Throwing away useful stuff, the people fighting being mother and daughter, and now she falsely claims the victim was stabbed in the stomach.
There certainly are some inconsistencies.
Well, Iris, how about it?
Well, it's just...
If you ask me, you're just being too naive about the whole thing. What do you mean? Jetzt erzählt er wahrscheinlich gleich, sie hätte zweimal zugestochen oder so. Was willst du denn jetzt schon wieder mit deinem Kaffee? There are 253 distinct types of bitterness in coffee, but to pick out each one requires total concentration and the use of all the senses. Were you really concentrating on what this witness actually said?
Prosecutor Godot, explain yourself already.
The witness was quite unambiguous about her own ambiguities when she said that the garden was dark and she couldn't see clearly. A human needs one thing to see clearly, and that is light. Aber haben wir nicht vorhin noch erfahren, dass da Licht war?
Light.
By the way, did you know Asakura has a rule that on nights when an acolyte is at the inner temple training, the stone lantern in the garden must be kept lit. I did wonder what that stone lantern was there for.
Well, if that's true, shouldn't the witness have been able to see the crime more clearly?
Normally, yes, Your Honor, but according to the head nun, Sister Bikini, on the night of the crime, it was impossible to light that stone lantern. Impossible? It hadn't been used in a long time and the wick was no good. In other words, it had to have been nearly pitch black in the garden that night. There could have been a faint light coming from the training hall, but that's all.
Most enlightening.
Aber uns wurde doch bereits gesagt, dass die Laternen, dass diese Dings da, diese Fackeln an waren. Ich frage mich nur gerade, ob wir irgendwie irgendein Beweisstück dafür haben, dass das auch, beweist. Haben wir nämlich, glaube ich, nicht. Oder? Cause, loss of blood from stab and back. Body fell 10 feet after death. Ist ja auch immer noch interessant. Haben wir, glaube ich, nicht. Hier. Yes, that illuminating fact has chased all the contradictions away. If the staff was dropped, it would be difficult to see. It also explains why they didn't recognize each other. We can't see the demons that lurk in the night. That's why humans are weak. Isn't that right, Trite? No.
Order!
Here, Your Honor. Let me present the stone lantern into evidence. Maybe it will rekindle the flame of truth in your mind. Stone lantern. A lantern from the inner temple garden was not lit the night of the crime. Why is the judge just sitting there with that look on his face? What's wrong, Your Honor? What's that flame too hot?
This lantern, there's something written on it. Why? It's written in blood.
Oh boy. So the judge didn't know about that yet.
Written in blood? It says Maya upside down.
What the? Wieso wusste er das nicht?
Oh yes, that's right. After being cornered and then stabbed by Mystic Maya, Mystic Elise didn't fall down right away. She must have been writing that on the stone lantern behind her, with the blood that was draining out of her body.
Ja, aber dann kann man ja jetzt schon wiederum nicht behaupten, sie hätte nicht gewusst, wer das ist. Weil es dunkel war oder so.
It certainly looks that way.
Hang on just a minute. What are you all talking about?
What do you mean, what are we all talking about?
We're talking about the message written in blood. Nonsense. This lantern, it's as clean as a whistle. Could it be? He can't see the bloody writing at all? Now that I think of it, he did say something to me yesterday. My eyesight is pretty messed up. Even with these huge goggles on my head, I still can't see everything. So that's what he meant by that.
In any case, this is obviously an important clue.
An dieser Stelle möchte ich mal daran erinnern, in dem Fall mit Maggie Bird hat Maggie doch eine Schürze, da wurde doch eine Schürze präsentiert, auf der ein riesengroßer Tomatenketchup-Fleck war. Wo erst noch alle dachten, das wäre Blut, aber dann war es doch nur Tomatenketchup. Und da hat Godot auch gesagt, was ist denn, warum erschreckt ihr euch denn jetzt alle so? Das ist mir aufgefallen.
We now know that the crime scene was dark, and that the victim scrawled this message on the stone lantern. Well, Mr. Godot, anything further? Mr. Godot?
Der hat ja gerade einen ganz schönen Meltdown. Okay then, let's move on. Godot's literally shaking, and somehow I don't think it's from caffeine overdose. Was ist mit dem los?
I believe it has now been established that Miss Junin was killed by Maya Fey.
That's just wrong. Now it's time to turn our attention to you.
Yes, sir.
After the victim died, you did something, didn't you? Let's hear it. We're all ears.
After Mystic Elise died, I called out to Mystic Maya. I thought it was my duty to protect the future master of the Korean tradition, so I removed the body from the inner temple by myself. I dragged it behind me all the way across Dusky Bridge. Then I used the snowmobile to carry it back to Hazakura Temple and... I used the Shichishito to alter the way the wound looked.
So you moved the body.
Yes, I was raised at Hazakura Temple. I owe a great deal of thanks to the Fake Clan, but even so, I never imagined that Elise Junim was actually Misty Faye. I've committed a terrible sin.
Ja, das wusste sie nicht, huh?
A terrible trick of fate.
I believe you're looking for a twist of fate, Your Honor.
I intended to return to the inner temple after taking care of the body, but...
You were spotted by the head nun, correct?
Yes, and that's why I couldn't go back.
Your story makes sense, I suppose. Mr. Wright, go ahead with your cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor. Was können wir da jetzt draus machen? Pressen wir einfach mal ein bisschen rum. After Mystic Elise died, I called out to Mystic Maya. So you waited until everything was over before making a move?
No, it's not like that.
She saw someone murdered right in front of her eyes. It's not surprising that she was a little timid.
Yes, I suppose that's true. Sometimes when I'm watching lawyers argue back and forth with each other, I feel so helpless that I just sit quietly and wait for them to reach a conclusion.
Wofür wirst du eigentlich bezahlt? Isn't your job as the judge to mediate the argument?
It wasn't until Mystic Maya saw me that it finally dawned on her what she had done. I thought it was my duty to protect the future master of the Korean tradition.
So then, you knew? You knew the significance of the name Maya Fey.
Yes, of course I did.
That's odd. I mean, Sister Bikini didn't recognize Maya's name, let alone her position.
Anyway, she was a very special person indeed. So I removed the body from the inner temple by myself.
Why did you do that?
Because I didn't want Mystic Maya to be suspected in any way. I thought the best thing would be to remove the body from the crime scene.
You moved her body all by yourself?
Yes, I did. It would have been impossible if it wasn't for the snow.
The snow, huh?
I dragged it behind me all the way across Dusky Bridge.
It's pretty amazing you could make it all the way across. That's a rickety old bridge.
It looks worse than it is. It's surprisingly sturdy despite its age.
It's like they say, idiots are too stupid to catch even a simple cold. But there's one other thing that bothers me. Why not just throw the body into the Eagle River?
Oh,
It would have been much easier than dragging it all the way to Hazakura Temple.
I thought that it would still cause too much suspicion on Mystic Maya.
Gut, das ergibt sogar irgendwie Sinn.
That's why I tried to take the body as far away as possible.
Huh. Makes perfect sense to me. For the time being. Anyway, what did you do after you crossed the bridge?
Then I used the snowmobile to carry it back to Hazakura Temple. And
Hold it. The snowmobile. I knew that would show up sooner or later.
yes, I had the key. I used the snowmobile to travel from Hazakura Temple to Dusky Bridge.
This is the part that was in question the other day. Should I ask for more details? Oh god, ich erinnere mich ja kaum noch. About the tracks? If you really did move her body by snowmobile, then there should be tracks left in the snow, right?
Well, yes, naturally you would expect tricks.
This picture was presented at yesterday's trial. Are these the tracks from that ride?
Yes, I think they are.
But I can only see one set of tracks here.
I don't see what's so strange about that. Snow was still falling when I left Hazakura Temple,
I see. Snow was still falling, huh?
and then when the murder took place, it had already stopped. That's why there are such fresh-looking tracks.
How about it, Mr. Wright? What do you think about this testimony?
Ach du meine Güte. Ich weiß nicht. Hm. Ich kann mal sagen, it's very important. Gucken, was passiert. When the murder took place, the snow had already stopped. It doesn't make sense if you stack it up against the other evidence. Ach, echt? Your Honor, I'd like the statement Iris has made added to the testimony.
But does it have something to do with the case?
All will be made clear if you allow her statement to be added to the record. Huh. This should be fun. Let's get this snow business cleared up, shall we?
Yes, sir. By the time the murder took place, the snow had already stopped.
Ja, spricht irgendwas dagegen? Es wird 10:40 Uhr. Ah. Ah. Wenn das stimmt, dass der Schnee nicht mehr gefallen ist, als der Mord passiert ist, dann muss es ja mindestens 10:50 Uhr gewesen sein. Aber wenn es mindestens 10:50 Uhr war, dann hätte die Brücke schon brennen müssen. Und dementsprechend hätte sie doch gar nicht die Brücke benutzen können, um die Leiche dann zurückzubringen. Das muss es sein. Oh, vielleicht auch nicht. Your Honor, what do you think about the witness's statement?
I'm not sure I follow you.
It clearly contradicts the, I thought. Oh, super.
You don't sound very sure, Mr. Wright. Objection denied.
I don't think that won me any points with the judge. Vielleicht erstmal... By the time the murder took place, the snow had already stopped. Ja, aber ich dachte... Moment. Nee, nix Moment. Ja, das ist ja egal, das kann ja nichts, das kann es ja nicht sein, weil wir ja mittlerweile wissen, dass das gar nicht der Ort des Mordes war. Vielleicht erstmal press. There have been a lot of contradictions in your testimony so far. This time, are you sure it's all true?
Yes, I am.
When the murder happened, the snow had already stopped. According to you, that's why the snowmobile tracks were so clear.
That's right. I'm certain of it.
I think I've trapped her this time. I see how you think. Snow, huh?
What is going on here?
If the snow really had stopped by the time of the murder, it would mean there is a bigger hole in her story than that movie, The Grid Revelations. Was das für ein Film? Huh. Well then, Mr. Tried, perhaps you'd like to share your theory with us. Ach, hier musste ich jetzt pressen, oder was? Um das zu erklären. Let's see what's up your sleeve, or rather at the end of your index finger. Question mark. I don't want to believe it, but I don't think my logic is failing me. Iris is trying to pin the murder on Maya. But why would she want to do that? There's only one reason I can think of. Ja, echt? Nee. Was? Jetzt bin ich ja jetzt schon wieder dabei, dass nichts passiert. Ich dachte, vielleicht wäre Pressen das Richtige, anstatt den Wetterbericht zu präsentieren, aber... Muss ich die Brücke präsentieren? Nee. Irgendwelche Ideen? Kann ich vielleicht noch das andere auswählen? Ich can ask for more details about the snowmobile. Let me hear more about the snowmobile ride.
Well, it was very cold that night, so I rode it all the way to the foot of the bridge.
I'm sorry, witness, but now I've got a problem with your testimony.
Excuse me?
Godot, what are you up to now? That night, after the head nun left the remainder of the training to you, she said she walked from the inner temple back to Hazakura Temple.
Yes, I'm fairly certain that's what the record indicates.
Let's recall her comments on the subject.
Maybe, but when I made it back to Hazakura Temple, it was there by the main gate, the snowmobile, I mean.
Oh, stimmt. The snowmobile was in front of the main gate. This is one of those contradictions, wouldn't you say?
Order, Mr. Godot. Why are you pointing out contradictions in the witness' testimony?
Let's just say I like things to be neat and tidy, okay?
Well, maybe Sister Bikini missed it. Yes, maybe she didn't see it.
You think she missed it? That doesn't sound right. Huh. Whatever. Even I don't think this is decisive enough to warrant any more time or effort. It's just, you'd better be careful in your testimony. That's all I wanted to say. A smart little cookie like you shouldn't have any trouble understanding that.
Yes, sir.
What was that all about? Why would Godot want to give me a hint?
Very well, then let's continue with the testimony. So you transported the body by snowmobile all the way to the Hazakura Temple courtyard.
Yes, I thought that way. Mystic Maya would never be suspected. That's what I thought anyway. And then I
used the Shichishito to order the way the wound looked different. So that's not what I was. Is that what you were doing when Sister Bikini saw you?
Yes, that's right. She probably thought the worst.
Probably. More like definitely.
I see. So Sister Bikini mistakenly thought you were the one that murdered Miss Dunham.
I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. It's my fault that this case has gotten so confusing.
By the time they were at her place, the snow had already stopped. Es muss doch irgendwas hiermit sein. Das klang jetzt vorhin schon wieder so, als das wichtig wäre. Aber, das war ja nicht der Wetterbericht offenbar. Ja, und why would she want to pin the murder on Maya? Er sagt, there's only one reason I can think of, aber mir fällt keiner ein. Sagt sie hier jetzt noch was anderes, wenn ich dasselbe frage, nachdem Godot sie immerhin darauf aufmerksam gemacht hat? Naja, er sagt dasselbe nochmal. Gerade so ein bisschen out of ideas. Es muss ja irgendwas hiermit sein. Ich meine, das haben wir durch unser Nachfragen als neues Statement dazu bekommen. Und wenn ich hier presse, dann kommt ja auch so ein besonderer... kommt das hier? Und er sagt sogar, I think I've trapped her this time. If the snow really had stopped by the time of the murder. Das heißt, wir müssen irgendwie beweisen, dass der Schnee zum Zeitpunkt des Mordes noch nicht vorbei war? Vielleicht. Moment. Nee. Die wurde ja im Schnee gefunden. Hätte man jetzt natürlich sagen können, da die nach dem Mord gefunden wurde, aber zugeschneit war, muss es danach noch geschneit haben. Aber dann müsste es ja auch in einem Beweisstück stehen. Denke ich jetzt mal. Ich meine, ich kann es trotzdem mal präsentieren, aber ich habe das Gefühl, dass es das nicht ist. Ja, Musik hört nicht auf. Ja. Ähm. Ich hätte ja immer noch gesagt Weather Report. Ich meine, ich kann ihn ja nochmal präsentieren. Vielleicht war es ja irgendwie, dass man erst pressen muss und den dann präsentieren muss. Na, hoffen wir nicht. Was haben wir sonst noch? Mhm. Ich kann das Foto mal präsentieren, weil es wenigstens was damit zu tun hat. Nur, dass ich nicht wüsste... was? Warum? Wieso? Weshalb? Was hier? Nee. Keine Ahnung. Foto offenbar auch nicht. Ihr habt auch keine Ideen? Irgendwelche Profile? Aber wir haben ja keine Profile, die irgendwas mit Schnee zu tun haben. Iris doesn't seem to have any spiritual power. Das ist ja auch ganz gut zu wissen, falls das irgendwie nochmal vorkommt, dass sie behauptet, sie hätte jemanden gechannelt. Es ist doch nicht diese Aussage, aber das wäre auch komisch. Ich meine, wir haben die extra freigeschaltet mit unseren Nachfragen und Phoenix sagt ja sogar, now I have trapped her. Aber mir fällt gerade echt nichts ein, das irgendwie beweisen würde. Ich meine, das hatte mal was damit zu tun, aber hier jetzt nicht. Das ist ja, wir wissen ja mittlerweile, dass das nicht die Crime Scene war. Das haben wir ja früher gedacht. Aber dann habe ich ja eigentlich auch schon alles durch. Dann muss ich das präsentieren, um zu sagen, dass die Brücke schon brannte. Ich glaube, das habe ich vorhin schon versucht. Ich kann jetzt natürlich einfach der Reihe nach alles probieren. Aber das ist natürlich auch doof. Wenn ich nur durch Zufall darauf komme. Aber mir fällt auch nichts mehr ein. Es sei denn, ich muss doch woanders pressen. Was mit der Karte ist es auch nicht. Ja, das kann's ja eigentlich auch, das hat ja auch nichts damit zu tun. Ich meine, ich gucke mir jetzt gerade schon zum x-ten Mal alles der Reihe nach an und sag zu allem nur, dass es das nicht sein kann. Nein, das auch nicht. Auch nicht. Also wir haben ja fast überhaupt jetzt langsam nichts mehr. Mir fällt nichts mehr ein. Ich präsentiere schon nur noch zufällig irgendwas. Ich glaube, das bringt nichts. Dann mache ich jetzt erstmal hier Schluss für heute und muss bis nächste Woche mal lange darüber nachdenken und hoffentlich nicht nachschlagen. Ich meine, wenn mir wirklich überhaupt nichts einfällt innerhalb der gesamten Woche, muss ich es natürlich nachschlagen, weil ich will auch nicht nächsten Montag den Stream damit anfangen, hier weiter eine Stunde lang Brute Force zu spielen. Aber ich werde nochmal drüber nachdenken und dann machen wir heute erstmal hier Schluss. Ich will eigentlich gerne zumindest noch ein To Be Continued oder sowas bekommen. Irgendeine Art von schönem Abschluss, aber da ich hier gerade so festhänge, gibt's das heute wohl nicht. Also dann, ja, dann sage ich jetzt mal gute Nacht und dann sehen wir uns nächsten Montag. Bis dann.